Hi everyone, I'm Sanjana and I have Jayakumar with me today to talk about the power of SEO and content. Hi JK, thank you so much for joining me today.
Hi, Sanjana. Thank you for having me here.
It's my pleasure, Jayakumar. And just to give an intro about JK, he's currently the digital marketing lead at Multiplier, and he's also the head of operations and analytics at TripleDart Digital. So, like, before we start, can you tell us a little bit about your background? Because I want to know, like, where did you start and where are you now?
Yeah, sure, Sanjana. So, hi all about B2B marketing followers. So, a bit about myself. So, I was into this SEO and performance marketing since my college days. And straight after my college, I was into Pressworks and I was handling SEO and performance marketing for, mainly into SEO thing for Fresh Team and Fresh Sales, a couple of products. And after that, I moved into one European agency called Hey Digital. So it is a B2B performance marketing agency. So there I was handling 4 to 5 big B2B brands. And after that, we started our own B2B performance marketing agency called TripleDart. And we are also, helping some few big B2B brands in India and other part of the world. And right now I am with a Multiplier and I'm a SEO lead with Multiplier. Yeah, this is about a bit about myself.
Great, and congrats for starting your own agency. That's a great news.
Yeah, thank you.
Great. So, okay, so let's get into the discussion today. So, I want to start with, you know, by asking different types of content that a SaaS company should create. Like, what are the different types of content available, and which ones should you frequent the most?
Yeah, I think before going into the exact type of content, so I'll give a little about why SaaS company should
Yeah,
focus on SEO and content, mainly
definitely.
how the competition and demand. Right, so largely looking at SEO, and there is a huge demand for content. If you just look at the normal stat, so in a day, 5.6 billion searches are made in Google, right? Which is
Mhm.
typically 5.6 billion people are looking for a content. So they wanted to consume any type of content that is available, like blog, article, video, anything. So it also, if you come into SaaS industry, the competition is little higher. Maybe if you take performance marketing, uh, advertisers are spending average $3 to $4 for a click. If you take 500 clicks, then it is of 500 into 3. We'll have to spend $1,500 to get 500 visitors.
Yeah.
But with a long form one content piece, so we'll be able to get that 500 visitors a month easily.
Mm.
So this is the power of content. If you look at a year, then a single content piece can be close to $15K worth. So this is the importance of content. And again, going into the type of content. So if you look at the normal content, right, there are multiple types. So for example, there is how to article, there is a long form guide of everything that we need to know about a particular topic. So there is infographic, there is webinar, a podcast. But if you take the all these different types, and if you bucket that content into two category, you can categorize that into uh, two, which is search based content and discovery based content.
Mm.
Right. So what I mean by that is search based content is something people wanted to consume that content. So they'll be coming into any search engine like Google, Yahoo, Bing, and they'll be searching for that. So here the search-based content type will have how-to articles and guides. So people will be searching for how to start their own business, how to write a long-form content. So this will be search-based content. But if you look at the discovery-based content, people would be loving that content, but they're not actively coming and searching for that. For example, the content related to infographics, webinar, podcast, and all the thought leadership content. So people will be interested to read about that, but they'll not actively come into a search engine and they'll be searching for that. So these are two broad type of category: search based and discovery based. And coming to our exact question of what type of content that a SaaS company or a company should focus. And again, no straight answer for this. So this is based on the company, I would say. If you take a company of a startup who is just starting with their marketing activities, so they might not have big budgets. A. And the second one is they might not have big followers for their social handle. They will not have more of subscribers for their content. So for that particular category of company, so we'll have to go with search-based content. Because if we go with discovery first strategy, then we might not have the audience ready who can consume that discovery based content. Right? So for a company who is just starting with their marketing, the suggestion is to go with search type of content pieces, which is how to articles and guides and blog posts. Whereas another type of company, which is very well established company, so they'll have a big social followers, they'll have newsletter followers, blog subscribers, right? So they'll have a brand voice out there in the world. So that kind of company, they can go with both discovery as well as search-based content. So largely, if a company is getting started, it is recommended to go with a search-based approach, which is articles and guide-related content pieces.
And by discovery based strategy, do you mean like thought leadership content to build brand value and all that?
Correct. So thought leadership or webinar, podcast. So people will be loving that content, but how that content gets more eyeballs is a question. Right. So if we have a big brand visibility and followers, then we can go with that.
Got it. Yeah, makes sense. Awesome. And like, how do you create high quality content for your target audience? Like, do you have any framework that you follow or any tactics that you want to share with us?
Yeah, that's a great question, because out there in the internet world, we have billions and billions of content. But if you typically take quality content, that is very less. So again, it is very important to use our content marketers' time more effectively in just churning the quality and a content that can impact our performance. Right. So being said that, I do follow a certain framework that we have tested with different clients, and that kind of work for us. Let me quickly cover that steps. So maybe if we take a search-based content, and if we further classify that content, so we have further two classification, which is product-based content, and the another one is audience-based content. So for example, if you take a theme or industry of CRM, a content theme related to CRM software or sales pipeline management, so these themes will come under product-based content, which is the content will be directly related to the product or the service that we are trying to sell to the world. So this is one type. And another type is audience-based content. Here, the content piece will not directly related to the service or solution that we are trying to sell, but this type of content will directly addresses the problem that our target audience are facing. So for example, it can be how to reduce the sales close cycle. So these are the searches made by sales manager or sales leader, but this will not directly tied up with our product. So we have two types of content. So a suggestion from SEO side, we can give more priority to product-based content. Obviously, it is not that audience-based content is a low priority or it is not useless. While giving priority, the product-based content can give direct business impact in terms of leads or MQLs. So while giving a priority, we can always give priority to product-based content. And again, coming to the framework of how to write a good quality content. So we usually follow 8-step strategy or tactic or framework, whatever we call that. The first step is identifying the themes. So if we are building a B2B SaaS under our theme or under our target audience, so we'll have multiple themes. So the first thing we'll have to identify is, so we'll have to find a theme that is more closely related to our product. which is our product might be strong in a particular area, but we might not be strong in a particular area from product perspective. So we should identify that theme. So this a company can typically do by, a marketer can typically do by speaking with the sales team and identifying which feature is exciting our sales or customers, and speaking with the product marketing team and speaking with the founders. So we'll have to identify a theme that are closely related to our product. So the first step. And the second step is, after identifying these themes, so we'll have to identify how people are searching for the theme, which we'll call it as keywords, and how many people are looking for that. Just how many searches are made for that phrase in any search engine, like keyword volume, right? So we'll take this as a step 2, identifying what searches are made and how many searches are made. And the third one is, if you wanted to tap this overall opportunity, how many content pieces you would need. So let's say, for example, if you are taking CRM or sales pipeline as a theme, and if we are identifying 200, 300 searches, and 10K or 20K people are making that search. And the third step is, we'll have to identify how many content pieces you need if you wanted to tap the overall opportunity. That is the third one. And the fourth one is more into SEO. How difficult it is for us to get visibility, right? If we wanted to churn 15 content pieces to tap the overall opportunity, then how difficult it is for us. So which is more easy for us to tap, which is difficult for us to tap. So we have to map a difficulty metric there. So this is the fourth step that we follow. And the fifth step is, so this is the more important step, I would say. For every content piece that we are planning to churn, we'll have to understand who our target audience is. Let's say if the content piece is what is CRM, then our target audience is someone at an entry level. If the content piece is about sales pipeline management software, then we'll have to map a target audience. So it is sales manager or sales leader. Likewise, for every content and nature of the content, we'll have to map a target audience. So only by this stage, we'll know how we'll have to structure the content and what are all the other problems that a particular target audience will face, and how we can bring that into the content. So this will be analyzed and done in the fifth step. And the sixth step is, now we have a content piece and who is our target audience. Now we'll have to identify which particular part of our product should be pitched there. This is based on the target audience, what problem that we are trying to address there. So this is the sixth. And seventh one is, by taking all these metrics of target audience, what product feature that we are pitching, what is the search volume, how difficult it is. So we'll have to do a prioritization, and we'll have to come with the predictable content, and we'll have to prioritize the content that has higher searches, that addresses to our close ICP, and we have a less difficult. So this is the seventh step. And the last is, so we'll have to churn content by following all the SEO best practices out there in the world, by using the keywords and other stuff. So yeah, this is the 8-step tactic that we usually follow for different clients, and that kind of work for most of our clients.
Awesome, this is great. Do you have this documented anywhere in your blog or somewhere, or you have an infographic or something?
No, we don't have a blog right now. We have our team creating this.
No problem, but
Correct.
This is an excellent framework. I thought if there is anything, I can link it in the YouTube description. But then, yeah, this is great. Thank you for sharing this framework with me. And yeah, the next question is the most important and my most favorite question, which is like, how do you rank on the first page of Google? I saw you spoke about this topic in Hello Meet, so I just wanted to know, like, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, great. So, SEO is a long-term process. So it will take between 4 to 6 months to get a sense if a content is performing well or if a content is going in a good direction.
Yeah.
So, right. So when we speak about ranking in the first, so what we'll have to think is, so we'll not have to look at a specific content. Instead, we'll have to look at a entire theme. Is what I suggest. So nowadays, if you look at SEO and content, and even the algorithm and experts, so it is pivoting more into you know authority kind of ranking more than a page level thing. So people speak about EAT and other things. So what I would suggest is, so just not looking at a content piece. So let's say if you are taking a theme, then we'll have to identify all different pieces, informative, transactional, different types of content, and we'll have to cover a proper hub and spoke model. That is the most common strategy that's spoken in the internet, and we have tried that and worked. So we'll have to create a pillar page, and we'll have to identify the child page, and we'll have to structure our pillar page in a very strategical way, that when a user lands on that pillar page, how that user gets a chance to identify all the child pages. And also from the search engine perspective as well, if a crawler lands on the pillar page, how that crawler identify all the sub pages, and how crawler is understanding the connection between the pillar and sub page. Right, it is by doing all the internal linking and and other getting backlinks. So by this way, we'll gain authority for a topic. And once we have an authority gained for a particular topic, and if you create a very great content about a particular exact query or a problem, then it is high chances that we'll get ranked into that. So this is a top level strategy of how to easily get ranked in the Google. But if you take a specific content, if we are a business that is getting started early and we have a less authority, so the first thing we'll have to do is, so we'll have to identify the keywords that has minimum search volume but less difficulty. Because while doing research, we'll always look at tools like Ahrefs, Simres, but there are searches. So there is a stat, right? So per day, 5.6 billion searches are made. So it is really not practical for a tool to grab all these searches. So if the tool is giving a search volume of 100 a month, there are high chances 2x searches are made. But different queries, right, which a tool contracts. So it is to target this keyword that has less volume and less difficulty, which we call as long tail keyword. And we'll have to do a proper SERP analysis for that page. If we wanted to rank for a particular keyword, we'll have to identify top 20 content pieces that are already ranking for that keyword. And we'll have to try to decode, if it is ranking for that keyword, then why it is ranking. So is that because of authority? Which is, do they have more content about this topic in their website? A. B, how they structure their content. How long is that? How many keywords that they have used? How many variations that they have used? And C is how many backlinks they have, and other how strong they are with their off-page activities. So we'll have to identify the content that are ranking in the top 1 to 15 position in Google, and that has less offline or off-page activities. Then it is a hypothesis. So they have very less off-page authority, but they are ranking in the top. Then they are doing some great work with their content. So we'll have to further deep dive into their content, so to understand what is working for them. And we'll have to cover, or we'll have to structure our page in a way that we incorporate few of those learning and other research that we made about target audience and other thing. We'll have to incorporate that into that as well. So now we'll have a long form content piece that target less difficulty keyword, and our content structure will also be great in terms of our analysis in terms of SEO as well as product marketing fit. So by this way, we'll be easily get into the top of Google, after 4 to 5 months.
Yeah, awesome. That was a great explanation. But now that we have spoken about how to write a great content and how do you get on the first page of Google, the next logical question is like, how do you measure the effectiveness of content? I think that is a difficult thing to crack. So like, how do you go about that?
Correct. Actually, it's a great question because we keep churning content, but we'll have to be very clear on what metric to track and how we
Mm,
define the successful content below.
yeah.
Let's say if you take a normal content of SEO article, we can classify that all the content pieces into three broad categories, right? Or two broad categories, which is informative content and transactional content. So informative content, they are more into addressing a problem by giving more information, and informative content by itself will create a demand for their product. It is more of a demand gen. But if you look at the other type of transactional content, so this will be more of conversion oriented content, because a content that speaks about CRM software or sales pipeline management software. So users searching for that query is exactly looking for a software. So this is more of transactional content, and there that is more of demand fulfillment. People have demand for a product. We are trying to fulfill their demand with content. So if you take these two broader categories of informative and transactional, so the measurement of this content performance should be different, which is we can't take a single metric and try to measure the performance of both. It's a for informative content. The good metric, I would say, is more of people behavior or user behavior, which is we can look at the bounce rate, which is how people are behaving in our content. Are they bouncing without interacting anything? That is one metric we can track, and we can also track time spent on the page. So either people are consuming the entire information that we have wrote, or people are jumping by just reading one or two lines. And another important metric that to track for informative content is how many new visitors it is bringing. So if you look, a good informative content should bring more new visitors than the return visitors. So
Okay.
if people are returning again and again to a same informative content, then one thing can be people are loving your content, and the other can be people can't exactly grab what you are trying to say, and they are again visiting your content to consume them. So
Yeah.
informative content should bring more of new visitors. So these are the top metric that we can track for informative content. But when you look at the transactional content, the one good metric to track is how many leads or how many MQLs that the content is bringing. So that is the direct metric that we can track for a transactional content. And this is direct metric. But if you speak about the indirect metric, we can also track our paid marketing performance, and we can attribute that to our content performance. So this is interesting, and most of the companies will not track that. So if you look at our paid strategy, so there will be a percentage of budget allocated for our retargeting audience.
Yeah.
Which is people are visiting our website and we are trying to target them with our paid ads. So while doing that, we'll have to create audience for our content audience, which is all our informative and transactional, and we'll have to create that as a separate audience, and we'll have to run ads for our paid ads. Now we'll have to identify how many conversion that retargeting audience are bringing. So mainly
Okay.
audience who visited our SaaS content pieces, and how many of them are got converted into our retargeting campaign. So this also tells the power of our content, that our content pieces are attracting more of new visitors, which our paid channel is, helping to convert that into MQL, SQL, or close to one. So this is more of, attribution play. So we'll have to look at different marketing attribution of first touch attribution, last touch attribution, to measure the more effective way of measuring the content.
Excellent. Great. And one last question before we finish off this video. It's about SEO. Like, could you share your thoughts on like how to build a repeatable and scalable SEO engine?
Yeah, this is a great question. I would say, if you look at SEO, right? So always we have spoken that SEO is a long-term process. So it will take at least 4 to 6 months for a content to get ranked. But if you take a very old content, let's say we are churning a content after 4 to 6 months, it is performing very well. But after 2 years, the content will start to decrease in terms of performance. So this is not for all content. A few content pieces might go into the negative trend of performance. And the reason could be, there could be new domain coming in, or the new content might speak more fresh content than we spoke 2 years back. So the strategy for creating a repeatable flywheel is, so looking back at our content pieces, right? So let's say if we are churning 20 to 30 content pieces a month, after every 6 to 8 months, so we'll have to take a look at those content pieces. And again, every 2 years, we'll have to take a look back at the content pieces in a different way. So to create a repeatable cycle, we always have to look back to the content that we have published, and we'll have to identify the content that are performing well and the content pieces that are not performing well. So we'll have to deep dive into both these categories. If it is not performing well, then we'll have to identify why it is not performing well. Are people enjoying our content? Are they dropping out very early? Are they bouncing? And we'll have to try to compare that with the content that are performing well, right? It can be our content or it can be our competitors' content. Why are they performing well? What different they have done their content and off-page SEO. So this is one. And for our set of content that are performing well, and again, we'll have to deep down to understand why it is performing well. So it is a particular theme that is performing well because the difficulty is lesser, right? Or it is a particular theme that we have more content in our website, so that authority that for that theme is higher and that content pieces are ranking. So after doing this analysis, so we'll have to create some insights, and we'll have to implement that insights into the content that are not performing well. And this is a repeatable cycle. For every 6 months, we'll have to do the same. And for every 2 years, we'll have to dive more deep into that. And so this is a recurring strategy that we'll have to follow to create a repeatable and scalable SEO content, I would say.
Awesome. Great. So thank you so much for sharing such informative content with us. And we have reached the end of the episode. But before I wrap it up, I just have one last question, which is a hypothetical question, I would say. So let's say you're getting your career started. What advice would you tell to yourself?
Yeah, so before starting a career, so my advice about myself. So if you take a look at my career, so it is not something digital marketing I entered into accidentally. In my final year, so I came to know about this digital marketing, and I started learning about this. And I had my own blog at the time. So now it got expired. I don't have time to manage that. So I tried everything in terms of SEO and content, because I used to write my own content for that blog. So I was very much interested into this, and only after that I wanted to turn my career into this digital marketing field. So if someone is starting a career, what I would recommend from my experiences, passion about that. So if you have a passion about a particular thing, and if your career is also aligned in that way, then it will be you will be the shining star in a decade in that career. Yeah, I'm just getting started to that.
Awesome. Yeah, wonderful. Great. So I think we've reached the end of the session. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. I absolutely loved your enthusiasm throughout the conversation. So I'll give your LinkedIn profile in the description so people can connect with you later if they have any questions about content or SEO. And talk, like, if if like even if you want to help them with their questions, please feel free to help them on LinkedIn. So yeah, it was nice talking to you, JK, and yeah, I'll talk to you again.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Sunil. Thank you for having me. It was a wonderful 40 minutes discuss.
Great.
Thank
Bye
you.
bye.